Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling something pretty wild, a time when a river actually caught fire.
Multiple times, actually.
Multiple times, seriously.
Yeah, we're talking about the Cuyahoga River in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, so the Cuyahoga River caught fire. How does a river even catch fire?
Well, picture this. It's the late 1800s, early 1900s, and Cleveland is a major industrial hub. Factories everywhere, but almost zero regulations on pollution.
So basically companies just dumping whatever they wanted into the river.
Pretty much, yeah. Oil, chemicals, sewage, you name it, all that nasty stuff ended up in the Cuyahoga.
Yuck. So it was like a floating trash can.
More like a floating fire hazard. All those flammable pollutants basically turned the river into a ticking time bomb.
Okay, so it caught fire, but you said multiple times. Like how many times are we talking?
Oh, at least a dozen times between 1868 and 1969.
Whoa, that's a lot of fires.
Yeah, one of the worst ones back in 1952 caused over $1 million in damage.
$1 million?
Yeah.
Even back then, that's crazy. But why didn't people do anything about it? Like, didn't they care about the environment?
Well, back then, the mindset was different. Pollution was kind of seen as the price of progress. You know, jobs were more important than a clean river.
It's kind of hard to believe now.
Right. But things were starting to change. In the early 1960s, Rachel Carson published her book, Silent Spring, and that really exposed the dangers of pesticides.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that book. It was a big deal, right?
Huge. It helped spark a growing environmental movement. People were starting to realize the impact pollution was having on our planet.
So people were becoming more aware.
Exactly. And then, bam, the Cuyahoga catches fire again in 1969.
Oh, no. Was this one even bigger than the 1952 fire?
Actually, no, it wasn't the biggest or the most destructive, but it happened at a time when people were already paying attention to environmental issues and the media was all over it.
So the timing just, like, amplified everything.
Exactly. There was even this photo in Time magazine that really caught everyone's attention. It showed the river engulfed in flames, and it became this powerful symbol of how bad pollution had gotten.
So kind of like when we see those pictures of oil-covered birds after an oil spill today, it just makes you want to do something.
Yeah, a perfect comparison. The Cuyahoga fire became a turning point. It helped push people to demand real change.
Okay, so this 1969 fire, even though it wasn't the worst one, it really kicked things into gear.
You could say that, yeah. It sparked a wave of environmental activism and led to some major changes in how we protect our environment.
Like what? Spill the tea? What kind of changes are we talking about?
Well, first, just a year after the Cuyahoga fire, President Nixon created the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA.
The EPA, yeah.
Yeah,
I know them. They're like the environmental police, right?
that's one way to put it, yeah. Their job is to set and enforce regulations to protect human health and the environment.
Okay, makes sense. So the EPA was born from this whole Cuyahoga fire situation.
It definitely played a major role, yeah. And then, in 1972, Congress passed the Clean Water Act.
The Clean Water Act, that's a big one. It basically, like, made it illegal to pollute rivers and lakes, right?
Right. It set national standards for water quality and restricted what could be dumped into our waterways.
So the EPA makes the rules, and the Clean Water Act backs those rules up with some serious consequences. Pretty cool how one river fire led to all that.
Absolutely. It was a major victory for the environment and a testament to the power of public awareness and activism.
Okay, so the Cuyahoga River started all this. But what happened to the river itself? Is it still, like, a fiery mess?
No way! The Cuyahoga has made an incredible comeback.
Seriously. Like, from catching fire to, what, swimming in it?
Well, maybe not swimming yet, but it's way cleaner now. Thanks to the Clean Water Act and tons of cleanup efforts, the water quality has improved dramatically.
That's awesome. But, like, can you even fish in it now? Is it safe?
You bet. There are over 40 species of fish living in the Cuyahoga now. You can fish, kayak, even paddleboard on it. It's a real success story for environmental recovery.
That's incredible. It's like the Cuyahoga rose from the ashes. Literally.
It just goes to show what's possible when people come together to protect the environment.
Well, this whole story has definitely got me thinking about what I can do to help protect our environment. But we've been talking a lot about national laws and government agencies. What about everyday people and businesses? What can they do to help keep our rivers clean?
That's a great question, and it leads us to a company that's doing some pretty amazing things in this area. Buck Outdoors.
Buck Outdoors. Tell me more.
They're all about helping businesses manage stormwater and prevent the kind of pollution that led to the Cuyahoga River fires. Remember how we talked about all that oil and sewage?
Yeah, gross.
Well, Buck Outdoors is working to make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen again. They help businesses understand environmental regulations and implement practices to keep our rivers and lakes clean.
So they're like environmental superheroes, preventing future disasters. I like it. But how do they actually help? Give me the details.
They do all sorts of things, from inspections and training to vegetation management and repairs. They work with businesses to make sure they have the knowledge and the tools they need to protect our waterways.
That's awesome. It's inspiring to see how one event, as devastating as it was, can lead to such positive change. It shows that we have the power to learn from our mistakes and create a better future for our planet.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that even the darkest moments can spark a flame of hope and progress.
Okay, deep divers. I think we've covered a lot of ground today. From the fiery history of the Cuyahoga River to the inspiring work of companies like Buck Outdoors.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It really has. But before we wrap up, I want to hear more about the specifics of what Buck Outdoors is doing. Like, what kind of inspections are we talking about? What does vegetation management even mean? So many questions. We'll dive deeper into all that right after a quick break, so stay tuned.
Sounds good. I'm ready to share more.
Hmm?
All right, so before the break, we were talking about Buck Outdoors and all the cool stuff they do to protect our waterways.
Yeah, they sounded pretty awesome, like real environmental heroes.
Right. And one of the things they're really good at is inspections. Like, they'll go out to businesses and really check out their whole stormwater management system.
Okay, so they're like, what? Looking for problem.
Exactly. Any potential issues, any areas that could be improved. They want to make sure everything's running smoothly and that no pollutants are sneaking into our rivers and lakes.
So they're like stormwater detectives.
Ha! I like that. Stormwater detectives.
So they're not just looking for obvious stuff. They're really getting down and dirty to find those hidden problems.
Exactly. They want to catch everything, even those small issues that could turn into big headaches later on.
Smart. So what happens if they do find something during an inspection? Do they, like, write a ticket or something?
No, it's not like that. They're not trying to punish anyone. They're all about working with businesses to find solutions.
Oh, okay, so it's more collaborative.
Exactly. They'll sit down with the business owners, explain what they found, and help them come up with a plan to fix it.
So they're like consultants.
Yeah, kind of like that. They're experts in stormwater management, so they can provide guidance and make sure the business is meeting all the environmental regulations.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. It's all about education and collaboration. And they even offer training programs for employees.
Training? What kind of training?
Well, they'll teach employees about the best practices for managing stormwater, how to identify potential problems, and what to do if they spot something that needs attention.
That's awesome. So they're not just fixing existing problems, they're also helping to prevent future ones.
Exactly. And if there are any repairs needed, Buck Outdoors can oversee those too, making sure everything is done right. They're really a one-stop shop for all things stormwater management.
That's so convenient. But it's not all about concrete and pipes, is it? What about, like, the natural environment?
Great question. Actually, another one of their specialties is vegetation management.
Vegetation management, what's that?
Well, you know how plants and trees are really good at absorbing water?
Yeah, sure.
Well, that's a really important part of stormwater management too. Healthy vegetation helps to prevent runoff and keeps pollutants from entering our waterways. So, Buck Outdoors can assess the health of the trees and plants on a property, make recommendations for plantings, and even do things like mowing around stormwater infrastructure to keep it functioning properly.
So they're not just focusing on the man-made stuff, they're working with nature too. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's all about taking a holistic approach, looking at the big picture, and using a variety of strategies to keep our water clean. And they're always staying up to date on the latest technologies and regulations too. Like, did you know they even offer audit representation?
Audit representation, what's that?
Well, sometimes businesses have to go through environmental audits, to make sure they're in compliance with all the rules. And Buck Outdoors can help them navigate that whole process, which can be pretty complicated.
Oh, wow. So they're like environmental lawyers too.
Not quite lawyers, but they definitely know their stuff when it comes to environmental regulations. They make it easier for businesses to do the right thing.
This is all really impressive. It sounds like Buck Outdoors is doing amazing work. But what about us regular folks? Is there anything we could do individually to help protect our waterways? Like besides just hiring Buck Outdoors to come fix our yards?
Absolutely. There are tons of small things we can all do that can make a big difference. For example, one of the easiest things is to be mindful of what we put down our storm drains.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Storm drains lead directly to rivers and lakes, don't they?
Exactly.
So-
So we want to avoid dumping anything down there that could pollute the water. That means no oil, no paint, no chemicals, not even soapy water from washing the car.
Gotcha. So what else can we do?
Well, we can choose environmentally friendly cleaning products and fertilizers. We can pick up any trash we see, especially near waterways. And planting trees and native plants is a great way to help absorb stormwater and prevent runoff.
Okay, so being careful about what goes down the drain, picking up trash, planting trees, those are all things I can definitely do.
Exactly. Every little bit helps. And if you're ever unsure about something, you can always reach out to organizations like Buck Outdoors. They're a great resource for information and guidance.
That's a good point. We can all be environmental stewards, no matter our age or experience. This whole story of the Cuyahoga River is a perfect example of that. It shows how a group of concerned citizens, along with the right laws and the support of companies like Buck Outdoors, can really make a difference in the health of our environment.
It's a reminder that even the most polluted river can be brought back to life. And it's a challenge for all of us to continue working together to protect our precious water resources.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key message you want our listeners to take away?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we all have a role to play in protecting the environment. Whether it's supporting companies like Buck Outdoors, making changes in our own lives, or speaking up for stronger environmental protections, we can all make a difference.
Absolutely. The Cuyahoga River's comeback is a powerful reminder that change is possible even when things seem bleak. It's a call to action for all of us to be stewards of our planet and work together to create a healthier, more sustainable future. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Cuyahoga River fire. We hope you learned something new and feel inspired to make a difference. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.